Calm's still sticking with his Muta build. I don't know if he's put down any other tech. He'll need to do that eventually. Need to get some sort of ground force out, because eventually the Goliath count is just going to build up to the point where the Goliath force can just eat Mutas for breakfast, and Calm will have to get something like maybe Hydralisks out to combat them on the ground and prevent them from pushing out. Third factory is going down now for Mind, so Mind is definitely looking to get his macro up and get enough Goliaths to put an end to this Muta harass and push out. I'm not sure whether Calm's claimed his mineral only yet. Seems like a logical step, but I guess since he's been pumping so many Mutas in such a gas-intensive build, he hasn't really needed the extra minerals, so he's decided to focus on other things, or just get the gas expansion first. The disadvantage, of course, of expanding there at the 9 is that it's more difficult to hold than the internal mineral only, but at the moment, if Mine's not going to be able to press out for another couple minutes, it doesn't really make a difference, because everything's equally easy to hold if your opponent can't attack. Now, finally taking the mineral only. So, Calm's going to be up to 4 bases to 2 for Mind, and by the time that 4th base is operational, I think Calm will have functionally even things up, and doing a very good job. I didn't anticipate that he would be able to stay within shouting distance of Mind after that quick Muta build got scouted out, and given that they were on cross positions and given all the advantages that Mind enjoyed, but Mind only now is able to venture out, and he's immediately turning around with those Goliaths. Doesn't want to let Calm get in the back of his base with this big force of Mutalisks. First tank out, so it looks like Mind is thinking about making a serious push and feels like he can hold his main without his main Goliath force at the moment. A couple of Goliaths back there in reserve and a lot of turrets. I wonder if we'll see Mind put down his mineral only soon. He's got enough turrets there to claim it. He's seen that 4th base going down for Calm, so he knows that he's going to have to do a little bit to catch up. Terran mech build versus Zerg is certainly more gas intensive than a medic marine build, but at the same time, Goliaths and now Mind's pumping vultures too are mineral heavy and gas cheap relative to other units at least. So certainly those extra minerals can be useful. Now more hatcheries going down and a Hydralisk den for Calm. So Calm is finally making that tech transition, and he's going to start pumping out mass Hydras and switch out of this Mutalisk build and try to contest Mind's army on the ground. And yeah, you can see the reason why there's enough Goliaths now that the Muta harass is effectively done, I think. But still, it's a credible enough threat that Mind is still already pushing out. Now something's moving out. Goliaths, or sorry, not Goliaths, Vultures. Oh, the Vultures immediately getting spotted by the Mutalisks, though. So we'll see. They still might be able to run in and take out a couple drones. There's another hatchery going down for Calm there at the sort of inside bottom left-hand corner. One drone going down, a lot of mines being planted, but those overlords there will allow the Mutas to take care of it. Oh, and Mind running by into the main, and he may be able to do a lot of damage here. The drones have nowhere to run, and the Hydralisks are going to be a ways behind. The Mutas are coming in, though. So only 3 drones down so far. I don't think Mind was able to take out another one. Now he may get a couple more. So that's 4 plus that one earlier, so about 5 drones for about 6 vultures. That's a decent exchange for the Terran player. So Mind can live with that, but he now has his 3rd base going. He still needs to do something to keep even economically now, though, because 3 bases to 5 is not the end of the world for a Terran player, but it's certainly living dangerously, and Mind recognizing that is putting down a 4th command center. He's going to try to float up and take that 3 o'clock position. It's always sort of, well, it's hard to calculate, how many bases a Terran player needs, to say, even with how many for a Zerg, and it all depends really on what worker saturation looks like at those bases and what sort of builds the two players are going. But the real danger of mech builds, especially on a big map like Andromeda, is that it does take so long for the Terran player to reach the point where they can really push out that the Zerg player can just expand all over the map, and by the time the Terran player is ready to push, the Zerg player has 6 or 7 bases and 15 hatcheries that they can just pump a million units out of. And the cross positions actually now are going to work in Calm's advantage, because this big siege tank push is going to take that much longer to get across the map. There's going to be more time for those mutas to harass and maybe pick off a couple of tanks. Small force of Hydralisks out there, but Calm should be able to pump a lot more Hydralisks pretty soon. So it's all going to be dependent on probably 1 or 2 big engagements, and if those siege tanks can get sieged and the Goliaths can get in front of them, then the Goliaths will be able to fend off the mutas and keep the Hydras at bay while the siege tanks just kill Hydras at will. But no! Oh wow, Calm is coming in for an attack on the front door. He's being warded off there. Mind's force is coming back to defend. But smart move by Calm. He's still kept Mind from actually mounting any sort of attack. Now more sunken colonies going down. But Calm doesn't have the forces on the ground right now to contest this big army of Minds. So if Mind now being indecisive, it looks like he's moving back again. He has easily enough forces. Okay, leaving a couple of siege tanks there to try to take down that base in the bottom left. And he's going to use the bulk of his force to basically shield those few tanks, I guess. But he's allowing forces to come around the side. He is pulling back now, so Mind does not want to engage, and I'm not sure why that is. Just moving back and forth inexplicably on the minimap. It looks like he's on some sort of patrol pattern. And I don't know what he's patrolling to defend. It looks like that whole bear is trying to join the patrol. I mean, he ought to be either going after that base in the bottom left with all his forces, or defending his new expansion at the 3. I'm not sure where he's expecting this attack to come from. Now forces are moving in. Mind's tank's a little bit spread out, and they're in the front of the formation, so he may lose several of those to the mutas and hydras, but not a lot of hydras on the ground still. A lot of mutas in the air, so Calm's still been building mutas. And we'll see who comes out ahead between these, not Valkyries, Mutalisks. It looks like the Mutalisks are going to win and take down the Goliaths, and then all those siege tanks are going to be exposed, so this is bad for Mind, actually. I guess Mind anticipated, like I did, more of a switch into Hydras, and didn't anticipate that there would still be this number of mutas out in the air. And Calm, again, playing very cleverly. I guess he has a lot of gas down at this point from probably 4 or so mining geysers. So Mind now reacting to the tech switch is putting down a lot, or not the tech, the lack of the tech switch is putting down turrets at that 4th base of his. But Mind did lose a lot of his forces there, so we'll see. Calm might decide to now make the switch into Hydras and try to press in on the ground now that so many of those siege tanks have been taken down. I'm not sure whether that little blip in the very bottom left is another base of Calm's. It looks like it is. It looks like he might be Maynarding some drones over there. But if it is, then he's still pretty well positioned, 5 bases to 4. And probably 5 bases to 3 pretty soon, because Mind's main has to be starting to run thin at this point in the game. Muta's going in there. We'll see. They might decide to press in against these turrets, but no, they're going to fall back. And more turrets going down for Mind, just to play it safe. Now a big force of Hydras. So yeah, we have seen the switch into Hydras. Tank count is back up, but there's nothing to shield those tanks, so... Oh, the Hydra's running away. I mean, I guess even bear tanks can do a lot of damage against the Hydralisk force, but I think that number of Hydras could have taken down those few tanks that were there. Well, we'll see. Relatively low drone saturation for Calm at a lot of his bases. As you can see, only 3 of them mining minerals there. So that's sort of negating the economic advantage that Calm could have enjoyed. A number of drones. Wow, a single vulture taking down about 4 drones there. At any rate, Calm needs to mine from those bases to get any advantage out of them. Maybe he just wants gas, but if he's pumping Hydras, and I think that's what he should be doing against this mech build, he needs minerals too. Especially to just get more hatcheries up so he can pump more Hydras as the game goes on. So, I don't know. I feel like he ought to get some more drones out, but again, what do I know? It's fun to sort of watch these games and think about what I would do if I was in the same position and sort of criticize the player's strategies, but the reality always is for commentators that at least most of us most of the time don't really know what we're talking about. So who's to say that who's to say that anything that I criticize about these players' play is actually worthy of criticism? Anyhow, Hive Tech out now.